If you run up on somebody who called himself a prophet, run away. Because God has no more prophets. There are no more apostles. The last apostle was John, and he died on the Isle of Patmos. I have a preacher who calls himself a cardinal. It's not going to be long before we're going to have a pope in the Black Baptist Church. Because bishop is not good enough. Cardinal is not going to be good enough after a while. After a while, we're going to have a pope. What's wrong with being pastor? What's wrong with just being a preacher? Everybody wants to have some special knowledge. God is not giving anybody any esoteric knowledge. The only knowledge you and I have now comes from reading the scripture.
So I guess this guy never... Stupid nigga. They expect that from a guy with a bald head. But hey, shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh. Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is just a quick lesson through the spirit. This guy by the name of Terry Kenderson, he made a very bold and off statement about there are no more prophets, there are no more apostles. What's wrong with just being a preacher or a pastor? Well, if you understand what a preacher means, a preacher is just another way of saying prophet. Because preachers are usually speaking some type of prophetic message to the congregation of things that's going to happen. Same thing with a pastor. Pastor, preacher, and prophet, it's just different ways of saying the same thing, man. Okay, and we can prove it through the scriptures that, in fact, there will be prophets in the last days. But see, these preachers, they don't believe in reincarnation because they don't understand the Bible. Damn. They don't understand the Bible. They don't understand the message of the scriptures. They don't understand who the message is giving to, and they don't believe in divine intervention in certain regards. They look at it, oh, since the Bible is already written, therefore there can't be any more prophets. Well, you have to understand that the men of the Lord wrote down what they seen in visions. And this is how the Most High communicated with the prophets in the ancient world, because they didn't understand what they wrote. Okay, so you have to understand that if a man of the Lord didn't understand what good or what he wrote for a latter time, how could at that particular time that be informative for people at that time if they didn't know what was going to happen 2,000 or 3,000 years in the future? Meaning that you would have to have men that's going to come back and understood or break down what they wrote. Okay, because in their mindset, well, why aren't we writing the Bible today? Well, the Bible was already written for our time today. It's already laid out in foundational form. So that way and that proves that it's divinely inspired, because once you understand the prophecies, you can see that, oh, wow, this is a book of divinity. The mark of the MOTB, which is the CHIP, World War III, the common collapse, all these things, about these empires, which the main one being of the four empires, being from the Persians and the Medes, the Greeks, the Babylonians and the Romans, the Assyrians, the Egyptians. Those particular prophetic scriptures going into Daniel the 2nd chapter, Daniel the 7th chapter, Daniel the 9th chapter, 8th chapter, Daniel the 11th chapters. Those particular chapters were prophetically inspired by the men of the Lord, just to prove the Lord's power, man. Because these things were written 3,500 years before they even came to pass. You see what I'm saying? And they didn't understand what they wrote, but we coming back, we understand through research, through the Holy Spirit, and through putting the clues together, man. And the revelation, the Spirit just kind of hop on you to know. So he's going off with that, man. Okay, just because you're not a prophet, you can't take credibility from people today that's doing the work of the Most High, that's calling on the name of the Lord. Okay, Terry Kenderson. Like I said, you can't trust a nigga with a smooth face and a bald head in a monkey suit. All right, that's what you 2/3 are. You're a bunch of monkeys, man. All right, so matter of fact, let's do this. I did some, etymology. Etymology of prophet. That's a spirit. Etymology of prophet. The word prophet come from. Matter of fact, let's do it this way. Etymology of words. Let's see if we can pull this up. It's Etymon online. Now, let's look up Let's see if it works here. Preacher. See what preacher is. The etymology of the word preacher. Okay. What the hell they keep? Pulpit, speaker, audience, deliverers. All right, let's see what it says here. Preacher. Okay. It says authorized, appointed, or appointed. When you are appointed to something, means you are given a task. The prophets were appointed to prophecy, to discourse publicly on religious subjects. And what's a religious subject? Prophecy. Okay. Then the prophets go out and speak in public. Don't we speak in public on religious subjects? End of the world, the World War III, MOTB, the Israelites coming back into to power. These are all things that we speak about. All right. Let's see here. I'm trying to get into more of a word of it. Okay, bam, Pete, bingo, found it. It says here, before, forward, hence, front of, before. Prophet means to say before, right? To proclaim, to say. That's what prophesy means. Prophet, pro means before, facade means to say. You're saying something before it come to pass. Basically, you just prophesy. Now, you have a term, people prophesy, but they're not prophets, though they say prophetic things. Yeah, that doesn't make them prophets. A lot of a prophet, or the office of a prophet, is exactly what it is. What you see Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, those men do, that's the lot of a prophet. What we're doing, we're in the lots of the prophets, man, okay? The videos that we push out, the fact that these things are coming to pass, we're out there week in and week out, we're speaking life into the people. Those are all the offices of the prophets, of the men of the Lord. That's why it says to proclaim. When you proclaim something, that means that you're saying something is going to happen before it happened. Remember, preach means to prophesy. That's all it means. To say, okay? Also pronounce solemnly. All right? So let's look up proclaim. Look that up. Okay, so when you proclaim something, it means to declare. We're declaring that America is going to be destroyed by ICBM nuclear missiles and the chariots. We're declaring that the so-called white man, which are the biblical Edomites, they're going to be broken down and they're going to be put into captivity. We're proclaiming these things. Why? Because they're written in the scriptures. Okay, we don't have to come back and write what's already been written. We're breaking down what's already been written because remember, the book was sealed into the time of the end. So if the book was sealed into the time of the end, that means that you're going to have a group of men that's going to come back and they're going to break down the mystery. That's Revelation, the 5th chapter, man, when the Lord gave us the revelation to understand the mysteries of the kingdom. Okay, but you don't understand that because you don't know the scriptures. So it says to announce, to pronounce, to state, make known, give out, advertise, publish, broadcast, promulgate, or promulgate, trumpet. What happens when you blow a trumpet? You're warning. Blazon, blaze, shout something from rooftops. The Lord profess, assert, maintain, protest, declare. Okay, to signify, to reveal, to manifest. That's all prophetic terms, man. And we could go deeper in that, but I made the point on that. We can actually just end it there. But let's see what this Ecclesiastes mean. All right. Solomon, Greek, Ecclesiastes. Solomon's Greek, in the Hebrew, technically the speaker, but the preacher. All right. So just prove that point. Preacher means prophet. Same thing, man. See, in a similar manner, the preacher should be a prophet. That is a seer who sees into the inmost heart of things. By this power of spiritual insight, he should grasp deep principles and distinguish between the essential and the transitory. It says the preacher should be a prophet that is a seer. So Isaiah the prophet, he was a preacher. He preached to the house. He preached good tidings. Did the scripture say preach good tidings unto the children of Israel? Okay, so, I mean, it's just straightforward, bro. Jake making shit more than what it really is. But look, this is 1 Corinthians 14 and 32. Matter of fact, let's go. Yep, man, this is the way we teach. But let's start at 31. It says, for ye may all prophecy one by one, that all may learn and all may be comforted. And it says, and the spirit of the prophets are subjected to the prophets, meaning the prophets that was of the ancient world that are back today. We're breaking down what we didn't understand over 2,000 years ago. It's just as simple as that. But in order to understand that, you have to believe and understand the dynamics of reincarnation. See, when you don't understand reincarnation, then that's when you have a problem. But it says, for Yahweh is not the author of confusion. But it says, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints, man, which church goes into calling out. Okay, so that's one precept on that. And I did some research too about the book of Sirach, because it's a scripture I want to get in there, which is written by Bon Sarai, okay, which they said you wish work. No, I think he was a Judite, I believe the son of Yahushai, or Joshua, as they say. Joshua, no, he's the inspiration of his father. Yup, Yahushai, son of Sirach. All right, but I was trying to find out when it was written, but I do know that it was since the Apocrypha is considered the Old Testament as well, or between the Testament, so to speak. You can safely say that the book of Sirach was written after and before some of the prophets, and after and during the time of the prophets as well. But let's peep this, because the disciples, they were prophets as well. Okay, they prophesied. Paul prophesied. Peter prophesied. John prophesied, and he was an apostle, which apostles means to send forth. Okay, or to send forth or send away, if I'm not mistaken. That's why they say send forth the apostles last. But this is the book of Sirach 36, and I'm going to start at verses, and this is prophetic speaking. Okay, it says, let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. Don't we have oppressors now? Especially in a time of, and this is another thing to evaluate. Why wouldn't the Most High send prophets definitely today? You think modern times negates prophecy? If anything, we definitely need prophets today, man. Okay, the Lord is more prophets on the scene now than it was back then, because all of us are coming back, man, for one common reason: to declare the downfall of this place. That's what we all linked up in the camps, man. You know, yeah, you had a lot of prophets in the ancient world. Some died, some came after, some lived during the same time. Like I believe Habakkuk lived during the same time as Daniel. The angel transported him to Babylon to feed him in the mouth of the lions. Then he told him, said, look, I'm gonna have you to go here to where your Akia is at, the prophet Jeremiah, and you're gonna basically take him to food, because basically he's gonna starve if you don't feed him. He's being held detained. And he was like, I've never even seen Babylon. And then, hey, the angel took him by the locks, okay, took him by his hair, and then basically transported him to where the prophet was at. So basically took him through a portal. He was like, oh shit, how the hell I get here? So that is very possible. But the point I'm making is, you had prophets then, but how much more now, especially in a time of the worst kingdom that have ever, this is the worst kingdom that the planet Earth have ever witnessed. This is the worst time ever. I mean, this make the Roman Empire look like kitty land, man. And the Roman Empire was full of wickedness, full of debauchery, full of evil, full of murder. It was basically the same stuff that's going on here, but this is on a far greater scale. So why wouldn't we have the men of the Lord that's going to be back up and talking about the end of this place, especially a place like America? You definitely going to have prophets out here, but nobody takes us serious. You know, we just another cult, we're another religion. We just a bunch of crazy guys that just talk stuff to people. That's what they look at us. But they looked at the old men of the Lord the same way. You see what I'm saying? They didn't believe in the men of the Lord either. You know, and another thing too, what proves that is Ezekiel 37, about that great army. Who was that talking about? Was not the prophets going to be included in that? All right. But anyway, it says here, gather all the tribes of Jacob together and inherit them thou from the beginning. It's talking about a future time, even though Jake was scattered at this time as well. But remember, man, the Lord wasn't going to bring the tribes back together until this time. This is prophetically speaking. It says, O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named the firstborn. It says, be, O merciful unto Jerusalem, thy holy city, the place of thy rest, which proves that that's the Lord's favorite city. It says, fill Zion with unspeakable oracles. And when you think of oracle, you think of prophets. Okay, you think of prophets, you think of something of divine nature. And thy people with thy glory. Give testimonies unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in thy name. Okay, have is past tense. So at this time, yeah, you have prophets on the scene, but why was he speaking for a future tense? He spoke in past tense because the men of the Lord came in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. But this day and age, he's basically saying, look, send your men back. Because remember, the men of the Lord that wrote the scriptures, they were prophets, man. Okay, King David was a prophet. Jonah was a prophet. Peter was a prophet. Okay, Timothy was a prophet. Paul was a prophet. All the men of the Lord were in many ways considered prophets, man. Whether they had the title indirectly or not. Paul didn't have to call himself a prophet because it was well known. You know, Peter didn't have to call himself that because through the Spirit, we understand that he was King David. And in the book of Acts, he declared himself a prophet when he was speaking as David. When they were quoting the Old Testament. No, when he was quoting, he said that David was a prophet, man. David was a prophet. Okay, Solomon was a prophet. You know how? Because he was Yahweh Shai in reincarnation. Okay, they were prophets, man. Adam was a prophet. If you understand the nature of the men of the Lord. Okay, now why somebody go, he said Adam was a prophet. Look, man, stop being simple, Jake. We know that Adam was Yahweh Shai, right? We just read that the prophets are subjected unto the prophets, man. So you come back in your lot. Okay, but it says here, give testimony unto them that thou hast possessed from the beginning, the elect. It says, and raise up prophets that have been in thy name. Talking about us today. And reward them that wait for thee, and let thy prophets be found faithful. So what is it talking about, man? Okay, because it says here, reward them that wait for thee. Aren't we waiting for salvation? Didn't the scripture say, wait ye upon the Lord until I rise up to the prey? So that's the point, man. And this is the reason why a lot of people discredit the Apocrypha, because it cuts them. But it says, reward them that wait for thee, and let thy prophets be found faithful. In Lord's will, we're going to be those men that's found faithful in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Because check this out. This is the book of Daniel 12. And we just read in Corinthians 14, the prophets are subjected to the prophets. So this is the book of Daniel 12. And I'm going to start at verses... Yep, it says, I'm going to start at verses 8. Matter of fact, start at 7. It says, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, which he held up his right hand and his left into heaven, and swear by him that liveth, that it should be for a time, times and a half a time, going into that time, that dividing of time, going into the time from when the temple was sacked all the way up into the falling away, up into this time period, that 350-year period when we was without Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, according to Revelation 11. This is that times, and this is that half of a time now we're in, this little season. And it says, in a half, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter all the power of the holy people. Who is the holy people? The Israelites, our people. All these things should be finished, which is the time of the end. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? So what good is a prophet at that time that didn't understand what he wrote? Okay, prophets were basically sent to local municipalities to speak to Israelites, man, about the impending danger that was going to befall them in a short while and for the long term. But the prophets didn't have the benefit of breaking down things for the long term. That's why we had to come back today and break down what we wrote, because it wouldn't benefit the Daniel to try to break down these 4 empires when he didn't understand it. He just wrote what the angel told him to write. And that's why he asked the question. It wouldn't be a benefit to him to try to teach Israel about America when he didn't know about it. Okay, now he's seen it in a vision, but he didn't understand it. He's like, what the hell is this? You know, it's just like if you show me something 3,000 years in the future today, I'm not going to know what the hell this is. But yeah, I've seen it. I see it. I understand what's going to happen to some degree, but I don't have the mental capacity to describe it because it's such a far time off. It's a different time. That's why we are coming back today. We're the same men that's coming back and breaking down what we didn't understand and proves it. And it says here, and he said, and I heard, but understood not. Then it said, oh my Lord, what should the end of these? He says, what should be the end of these things? He asked. Yeah, he wrote it, but he asked, like, what the hell is this? And it says here, and he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. It says here, sealed until the time of the end. Many should be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked should do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from that time that the daily sacrifice should be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolation, which we understand that, you go into 70 AD, all right, but it says, the abomination that maketh desolation is set up, there should be 1,290 days. But blessed is he that waited and come to the 1,305 and 30 days. But go thou thy way, Daniel, to the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days. So this proves that we have prophets now. It says, stand in thy lot until the end of days. It says, go thy way to the end. When the end? Thou shalt rest. Meaning he was going to die and go in the spirit world, and he was going to come back in his lot as a prophet today. Which that bummer said, oh, there is no such prophets. There ain't no prophets today. We need prophets more than ever now, man. What are you talking about? Who's going to break down this understanding to you? Because we didn't understand it thousands of years ago when we wrote it. We didn't understand it. The Lord didn't give us the understanding of what we wrote. We have it now. All right. And it says, and stand in thy lot at the end of days. Okay. So that proves right there are prophets today. One more precept and we're going to dead it. Point is being made. And there's several other scriptures we can go into, but this one seals the deal. He said, oh, there's no more apostles. Well, let's see what the scriptures say. This is the book of Revelation 10. And I'm going to start at verses 7. It says, but in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he should begin to sound, the mystery of the Most High should be finished, as he have declared to his servants, the prophets. Okay, this is talking about the end again. He's declaring to the prophets from old and today. We have that understanding. It says, and a voice which I heard from heaven spake to me again and said, go and take the little book which is opened in thy hand, or in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and the earth. Now, you can see the comparisons between Daniel and the prophet Daniel and the apostle John. Okay, I believe this is the one, the Lord's beloved. But if you read verse 8 and you go back and read what we just read, it's pretty much the same account. Okay, just at a different time period. Because remember, it says the man clothed in linen, he had his hands up and he was standing on the earth and in the water. And it says here, and the voice which I heard of heaven spake unto me again and said, go and take the little book which is open in thy hand, and the angel standeth upon the sea and upon the earth. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it should make thy bitter belly, but it should be in thy mouth as sweet as honey. So this represents him coming back in his lot, understanding the truth, getting the breakdown, learning he's an Israelite again, because we've all lost our heritage. Okay, whoever prophet Daniel is today, whoever was Isaiah, Ezekiel, all these men, we all went into captivity. We all lost our identity as being Hebrew Israelites. So we had to come back and we had to learn it again, going into that falling away. Okay, and it says here, take it up and eat it, and it should be make thy bitter belly, but it should be in thy mouth as sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth as sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my bitter was belly. And he said it to me, thou must prophesy again before many people and nations and tongues and kings. Now, I'm going to ask you this. When has this ever happened again? When has there ever been any account or recollection of the Apostle John, okay, or John the Revelator, as you Christians or scholars like to call him? When had there ever been any account of him coming back on the planet Earth as John the Revelator, okay, prophesied the downfall of a current kingdom? Either you're not going to find a record of it. So either this is a lie or it's a deeper mystery that you can't possibly put together, known as reincarnation. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end it there, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakwadash. And with that, Shalom and Abba Ball. Shalom.